Hey movie junkies, I know it's been a minute since I've put up a new video, actually quite a long minute, about a minute. Some personal things came up and I've also been updating my equipment. My lights I normally use went out on me and they died a horrible death. And so I got these two LED lights and so yeah, I've been trying to put those up and some other things came up. So again, sorry I haven't put out a new video for a pretty long time, far too long. But as you can tell by the title of this video is going to be a little bit different as I'm going to be showcasing my Criterion Collection, as you can see right here. I'm sure, in fact I know, there's some of you out there who have way more than I do, but this is mine and I like it. So without further ado, let's get started. Now this isn't going to be alphabetical or anything, I kind of just piled them up here. So let's get started with David Cronenberg's Videodrome. Now this is a movie, Criterion, that I have been waiting to get for a long time. I don't know why I never picked it up. I believe it came out in 2010. And I finally got it 11 years later. So this is very cool with this packaging. The case mimics a Betamax tape with Long Live the New Flesh. If you've seen the movie, you definitely know what that's about. And on the back there, and then you have the spine Videodrome on the side. And next up is another David Cronenberg movie, my favorite and probably yours, Scanners. Now there's two different versions of this that Criterion released. They released a 3-disc version and I believe it's just a single disc version later on. This is the 3-disc version that is no longer in print. This is just an amazing film. If you haven't seen the movie, I know you've seen this before. One of the coolest scenes ever in a horror movie. But like I said, it comes with 3 discs here. This is the artwork there. And then, and then you have the 3 discs. It is just one Blu-ray, and then this other 2 discs over here. The other 2 discs are just DVDs. Yeah, and then you have this really cool looking booklet here. Again, just like other booklets, it has about the making of the film, interview with David Cronenberg, and about the transfer of this Blu-ray. And the next one is, I actually picked this up last week. I've been wanting for a long time. It's the Before trilogy. The reason why I never picked this up before is because it was over $100 and Amazon had it on sale for $50 last week. So I definitely had to snag it. These are just beautiful films. I love each and every one of these movies. Actually, I haven't seen Before Midnight yet. I've only seen the first 2, but I love these movies. But let's take a quick look at the artwork here. So here is Before Sunrise. And then there's a booklet there. There's the disc there. And then Before Sunset. And then the one I have not seen yet, but I've been anxiously awaiting, Before Midnight. What I love about what Richard Linklater and Ethan Hawke and Julia DePlay did is they made these movies exactly 10 years apart. And this is the booklet that it comes with. So it talks about the making of the film, has interviews with Linklater, Ethan Hawke, and Julia DePlay, and an essay, and then about the transfer. This is a fantastic box set. If you're looking for a new box set to get, this is the one to get. And if you haven't seen these movies, they're just a work of art. They really are. My favorite part of the first 2 films is this.
Baby, you are gonna miss that plane.
I know.
That scene and the way the movie ends is just perfection. Now, if you've seen these before, let me know in the comments which film is your favorite. Next up we have, let's look at Sam Peckinpah's Straw Dogs with Dustin Hoffman. This is the unrated version, and it is remastered in a 4K scan, and it just looks beautiful. This is probably my third favorite Sam Peckinpah movie. Next up we have this is my pride and joy, my prize collection out of all of the Criterion Collection, and that is Do the Right Thing. This is another fantastic box set from Criterion. They did just a superb, beautiful job with this 4K master. And I mean, look how thick this is. Look how thick that is. And let's show you here. I mean, look at that. Then the artwork is just beautiful. Love this artwork. And actually, let me take out the discs here so you can see. There is the full artwork there. And then you have, look at this booklet. Look how thick this booklet is. I mean, this has everything you could ever want in a booklet. Has a long interview with Spike Lee, Spike Lee's director's journal, experts from the screenplay, film historian, film critics, interviews. I think Siskel and Ebert's reviews in this as well, and how this was a landmark in filmmaking, and also about the transfer of the Blu-ray. This is in a 4K scan restoration. Now I know there is a 4K UHD Blu-ray out there that just came out. I haven't gone in it because I have this in the 4K. But from what I've read, this is the exact same 4K restoration that the UHD HDR Blu-ray disc has. So because this thing is just jam-packed of so many goodies and so many extras, and it has the same 4K restoration, it's just not UHD or HDR, I went ahead and just kept this one, and I'm going to forego the 4K UHD version. If you can find this, grab it right away, because I know these are going out of print. Next up we have is Jonathan Demme's award-winning masterpiece, The Silence of the Lambs. And again, look at that artwork. Criterion does such a great job with their artwork. You have the ink blot that looks like a moth, and inside you have the discs here. And this is remastered in a 4K restoration. It also has a pretty decent sized booklet. Again, as all booklets have, interviews with the director, film historian interviews, interview with Jodie Foster as well, and of course about the transfer of this new restoration. If you don't have Silence of the Lambs in your collection, who are you? I mean, really. This is the only horror movie ever to be nominated and win Best Picture and Best Director. Just a beautiful film. Next up, I'm going to go with some David Lynch movies. We have Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me, which is a prequel to Twin Peaks series that aired on ABC in the early 90s. It is in a 4K scan restoration and in 7.1 surround sound. And yeah, this is definitely another one to pick up. The next one I have is one of my favorites from David Lynch, and that is Mulholland Drive. There's not much more to say about that one. Has a booklet, and the artwork is pretty bland, but great. Then we have is David Lynch's The Elephant Man. I'm not sure if this was nominated for Best Picture. I believe it was, and I believe it's the only David Lynch movie that was nominated for Best Picture. Let me know down below in the comments if I'm wrong on that. Studio Canal did release a 4K UHD version of The Elephant Man, but it was only released in Europe and not in the States. I don't know why they haven't released this in the States in 4K UHD. It was probably a rights issue there. But this does have the same 4K scan restoration that the 4K UHD has from Studio Canal. Next up is another favorite of mine. That is Fritz Lang's M. Great film if you haven't seen it. And then we have Martin Scorsese's The Irishman. Now, as I'm sure you know, this was from Netflix. And look at this artwork, though. Look at this sweet artwork. It's so simple, yet so elegant. And just great. I love the artwork. And here is the inside. And you have the booklet. I heard you paint houses. If you've seen the movie or read the book, you know what that's about. And then you have the blood stain on the side there, or on the wall there. And then just like everything else, it talks about the movie. I don't think it has an interview with Martin Scorsese, but it does talk about the movie and the production of the movie and the transfer. Yeah, I'm really, really happy that Criterion has purchased rights with Netflix to release this and some other upcoming movies. I hear that David Fincher's Mank is headed to Criterion the end of this year or near the first of next year. But I love this movie. And, a lot of people were really wishy-washy about this. I think the biggest problem is that everybody was expecting, since Scorsese, De Niro, Joe Pesci was all reunited together again, and Al Pacino, that there was going to be another Goodfellas or Casino. And so the hype was built up, and I think that's why people were really let down about it, because it's not really a Goodfellas or Casino. And that's definitely not what he wanted to do with this one. So it is different. It's definitely a lot slower paced. It's almost 4 hours long. But I love this film. I've watched it about 4 or 5 times since I purchased this. And it's just beautifully made. Just a great film. And I like it more and more each time I watch it. And another Netflix movie that Criterion released is Marriage Story. Another great film, 4K restoration. The acting in this is what made the movie for me. The acting from Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. And then we have last year's 2019's Best Picture winner, Parasite, finally hit Criterion. I held off on buying this on Blu-ray because I wanted the Criterion, mainly because this also offers the black and white preferred version of the film. And this does have the 4K restoration transfer. Now, again, like a couple of the others, this is the exact same 4K transfer that was used for the 4K UHD HDR Blu-ray disc. This just doesn't have the HDR or the UHD. That's the only difference. But it still looks amazing. I mean, it was shot digitally, so it's going to look fantastic no matter what. And I love the black and white version of this. It looks beautiful. I love it. Next up we have Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, a classic film. I'm sure everyone has this already. Another great looking Blu-ray. There's the artwork there. And another thick booklet. Again, pretty basic. Interviews with a film historian about the production of the movie and the transfer. I've been wanting this for so long. It came out in 2006, and I just got it a year ago. So yeah, I mean, when Barnes & Noble has their 50% off Criterion sale, that's the time to pick these babies up. So yeah, this is another must-have Criterion. Next up I have is On the Waterfront. Now this is interesting. It comes with 2 different aspect ratios, a 1:8:5:1 ratio and the full frame 1.33:1. Now I've tried to look up information about this. Which version did the director prefer? I really can't find any information on it. I prefer the 1:8:5 because it fills up the screen instead of having the 1:33 where you have the sides black with the black bars. So I do prefer the 1:8:5 ratio. But this is another really nice release from Criterion. As you can see there, There's the artwork there, and artwork there. And then you have the booklet here, which has the same stuff, interviews and all that junk. And what I loved, and I was actually surprised by this, is that it is in a 4K digital restoration. So it looks phenomenal. It looks fantastic. It's a beautifully shot film. And what's also interesting is that it has the original mono track, but it also has an alternate 5.1 surround track. I checked them both out, and the 5.1 surprisingly sounds really, really good. Purists will probably want to stick with the mono track, but give the 5.1 a go. Throw some spice in your life. You'll be surprised by it. Next up is one of my favorite all-time war movies, and that is Come and See. This is a Russian war film. There's one scene that gets me every time. It just gets me every time. Definitely check this out. Either get this on Criterion, the physical media, or watch it on Criterion channel if you have that. Whatever way you watch it, definitely watch this movie. It is a must-see film. Next up we have is The Blob, a classic with 82 minutes of concentrated motion picture terror. That's right. This is just such a fun movie. I love this movie. It has the original artwork right there, poster artwork, and the disc. Such a fun movie. Next up we have is Michael Giacchino's Heaven's Gate. Now if you don't know the history about this movie, I'm not going to tell you because it's way too long, but it is absolutely fascinating. This is the movie that I believe it completely bankrupted MGM or United Artists, or it almost brought them to the brink of bankruptcy. If you ever heard of the term, this is the director's Heaven's Gate, or like Waterworld's a perfect example. Everybody was calling Waterworld Kevin Costner's Heaven's Gate. There is a reason for that. So go check it out. Just do a search on Google. It's just absolutely fascinating the history of this film. Now, when this was released, it was released actually 2 or 3 times. The first time was his fully unedited version, and then they had to trim it down, and I believe they trimmed down like 2 hours and 15 minutes or something like that. And Criterion released the full intended cut, which is over 4 hours long. It isn't the greatest movie, but it is absolutely beautifully shot. It's just absolutely gorgeous. The directing is just fantastic. Now, given this is 4 hours long, sometimes it is slow and it starts feeling the film's length, but push through it. Just keep pushing through it. You won't be sorry. Next up, we have the classic In the Heat of the Night, remastered in a 4K restoration. Fantastic classic film that the TV show is based off of. And then we have a new release, I think it was early last year or the beginning of this year. I can't remember. Last year, because this is March, so last year, yeah. Anyways, let's get to it. Moonstruck, one of my favorite 80s movies. Nicolas Cage. This is the movie that brought Nicolas Cage up to that plateau. I mean, who can forget this scene?
I lost my hand! I lost my bride! Johnny has his hand! Johnny has his bride! You want me to take my heartbreak, put it away, and forget?
This is worth watching just for that scene alone. Just a great movie. And it's been remastered in a 4K scan and a 5.1 digital surround sound. And another one that was released recently is the classic War of the Worlds. Just a great 1950s movie. And then we have another 80s classic, John Hughes, The Breakfast Club. This is also remastered in a 4K restoration, 5.1 surround sound, and it also has the original mono track. And next up is my favorite David Fincher movie next to Fight Club, and it is The Game. New 4K restoration, 5.1 surround track. This is just a brilliant film. Check it out if you haven't seen it already. There's the inside there. And the outside. David Fincher desperately needs a couple of his movies to be restored and get the Criterion treatment. Seven, definitely. Fight Club needs a new restoration. So I hope I hope that maybe Criterion will get the license and release. They probably won't do Fight Club, but at least 7. Give us that, please. Next up is another classic, one of my beloved movies. That is The Night of the Hunter. The subject matter in this, being in 1955, number one, ahead of its time. Number two, it still holds up today. Check it out. Next up is another David Fincher movie that Criterion released, and that is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Next up we have is Danny Boyle's, I believe this was his first feature film, or at least it was the movie that got him noticed, and that is Shallow Grave. If you haven't seen this movie, definitely check it out. It is out there. It gets crazy. And then we have 12 Angry Men. I mean, if you don't already have this in your collection, I don't even know who you are. Next up, we have Brian De Palma's Sisters. I bought this, and I've never watched it. I think I saw it a long time ago, like years ago when it was on TV, so it was probably cut. But yeah, I still haven't watched this, and I need to get around to it. But it does have a new 4K restoration, and I'm gonna put this to the side because I'm probably gonna watch it tonight. I gotta get to that. Next up is, which I'm really, really happy that Criterion released, and that is Night of the Living Dead. It's a 4K restoration, supervised by George A. Romero, and his screenwriter, his sound designer, and the producer. Next up is The Princess Bride. Now this is really cool because unlike most Criterion releases that has the case or these, this has like a felt book material to it, and it has them there, the classic line, "As you wish." So it's really cool. It feels like a children's book, like an old-time children's book. And what's really cool about this too is that it's actually a digibook, or media book as some people call it. And instead of talking about the making of the film and the interviews, it actually has the book that William Goldman wrote, and it has experts from the screenplay, so you can see there's the artwork there. So that's really cool. You can actually follow along in the book while you're watching the movie, and then you have the disc right there. And this is in a brand new 4K restoration supervised by Rob Reiner, and a new 5.1 audio mix. This is definitely one you need to pick up because I hear that it's going out of print, or it may already be out of print. But if you find it, definitely pick it up. Next up is Midnight Cowboy. Great film, and a 4K restoration. And then you have Stanley Kubrick's Paths of Glory. This is actually another one that I just have not gotten around to check out yet. So definitely need to, I'm going to put this aside as well. Check it out. Next up we have is Wildlife. This is a pretty good movie. This is actually a blind buy. I had no idea what this movie was about, but Paul Dano directs it, which I was really curious about. He's an actor. He played the weird, creepy guy who kidnapped kids and prisoners that Hugh Jackman torture. It's a good movie. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Would I spend more than $20 on it? No, it's not that good. I actually bought this used for $15. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out if you can find it. I know it's on Netflix, so check it out on Netflix. Now let's get into some Terrence Malick movies. So we have the brilliant The Thin Red Line. Then we have this crazy box set to The New World. This includes 3 different cuts. Again, look how thick that is there. It includes the original theatrical cut, then includes a director's cut, and then includes the full extended director's cut, which I believe is close to 3 hours long. And it really feels like it. But here's the artwork here, and then inside there. And the booklet talks about the restoration, talks about the differences in the different cuts, and an interview with Terrence Malick, and so on. A lot of people were really disappointed by this film when it hit theaters, and the trailers did mislead you into thinking that there was going to be like a bunch of action and war and things like that. It's Terrence Malick. I mean, Terrence Malick movies are very slow-paced, very, I want to say, operatic, if that's right, and a lot of voiceover. So yeah, but I love this movie, and I really like the extended, almost 3-hour director's cut. There's a lot in there that is needed to flesh out the characters and the story. If you can get through it, push through it. It's definitely worth it. And again, I love these type of box sets. Criterion did a great job on these ones. And then another Terrence Malick movie, Tree of Life, another mixed reviewed movie. It's not as thick or as big as The New World, but it does include the theatrical cut and the director's cut. There is the artwork there. Now, just a plug here. I am going to be doing a video about voiceover and why Terrence Malick relies so heavily on voiceover narration in episode 2 of my Inside Film series. So keep an eye out for that. And then we have Guillermo del Toro's masterpiece, Pan's Labyrinth. This is not in a 4K restoration, which I was disappointed with. It's just a 2K restoration. I know that Universal, I believe, put out a 4K UHD HDR restoration, which I really want to get, but I love this Criterion edition as well, and it looks great. So I'm not sure if I'm going to go ahead and spring for that 4K UHD disc or not. But yeah, this is definitely a must-have. And we're almost done. We've only got this many left, so let's get through these. All right, The Last Emperor, fantastic film. Definitely check it out. Beautifully shot. I love that movie to death. Roman Polanski's Repulsion, another fantastic film. This is one of his first movies, and what I loved about it is that it really dives into the psyche. Like, it's a real psychological thriller. You don't know if what she is seeing, the lead actress is seeing, is real or not. I mean, and it gets pretty hardcore for a 1960s movie. Sofia Coppola's The Virgin Suicides, one of my favorite films, especially from Sofia Coppola. If you haven't seen it, definitely check this one out. 4K restoration on this one. And next up we have Terry Gilliam's Time Bandits. This is really cool because it has a fold-out poster here of the map. And then on the back, it has a little interview about with Terry Gilliam and about the 4K restoration. So that's pretty cool. This is one of my... I mean, I saw this movie when I was a wee little lad. When I was a kid, when this came out, when this hit a video. And I can never forget it, especially that horrific ending.
Mom! Dad! It's evil! Don't touch it!
And that was meant for kids. The 80s. You gotta love them. And next up we have Robert Zemeckis' 1978 feature film debut, I Want to Hold Your Hand. Great little movie. Fantastic classic movie, The Great Escape, which just came out on Criterion. And this is pretty cool. It has a fold-out map of the escape plans right there. Really cool. I love it when they do stuff like that. And next up we have is Francis Ford Coppola's produced film, The Black Stallion. This has been one of my all-time favorite movies ever since I was a kid and I saw it. Beautifully shot. I mean, just epically beautifully shot. And it does come with a new 4K restoration transfer. Definitely check this one out. If you haven't seen this one, check it out. If not Criterion, somewhere else. This is just a fantastic, beautiful film. Next up we have is Brian De Palma's Blowout. Another great film from Brian De Palma. I think this is one of my top 3 favorite films from Brian De Palma. And we have 3 left. That is Terry Gilliam's terrific The Fisher King, which I believe is out of print now. I can't find it anywhere. Joel and Ethan Coen's Blood Simple, a new 4K restoration on that one. And Michael Mann's feature film debut, Thief. Again, this does also have a 4K restoration and a new 5.1 surround audio mix. We're done. And there's my collection. And I'm sure I'm going to be adding more to it. That's one reason why I don't do a lot of these collection videos, is because I'm always adding on more movies, more Blu-rays, more 4Ks, and so I can never keep up with the collection. Maybe I'll do another one in another year when I get more in here, but that's it. It's almost as tall as I am. Look at that. Alright, so let me know down below in the comments what your favorite Criterion Blu-ray that you have is, and what are you looking forward to picking up in the future. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Now watch this. I'm going to get up and it's going to all fall over.